What is up, guys? It's your boy, Fisherman Cacus, and today we have the ultimate guide for Destiny 2 Season of the Deep, showcasing what the new activities are all about, how to get the new loot efficiently, the new seasonal upgrade system, and features like fishing all in one video. And so, let's get started. Now, first things first, let's talk about those two new seasonal activities. If you are doing the initial seasonal quest, which I would absolutely recommend you do, it's going to take you through some kind of proto versions of those activities. You're going to be playing them through on a story difficulty, and then when you go back in, you can now select them from your Helm directory. They're going to be a little bit tougher and offer better rewards. Now, the first activity we're going over is Salvage. This is the new 6-player matchmade activity. Keep in mind when you're launching it, you actually have a lot of different surges active. Like we have bonus damage, in this case, to Arc and Stasis and Strand. So make sure to take advantage of that. Now, you're going to load into initially one of two different areas. Keep in mind that the amount of different salvage missions and locations and bosses are going to likely expand as this season continues. But you basically have a bunch of different objectives you're tasked with doing. And this can be anything from disarming these fallen explosives to picking up objects and depositing them somewhere else. Keep in mind, when you do have these objects, as you can see, you can jump and just press the shoot button and you will swing forward. This is going to massively increase the speed you can move with these objects. Or sometimes you just have to hold out and kill enemies while defending certain objects as well. So these objectives are going to be randomized every time you do a salvage mission, so you don't really know what it's going to be, but they're all relatively simplistic. Now, once you've done enough of these objectives, you're going to fill up the bar to get Xivu Arath's attention. Once you do, the entire team gets teleported, and you have a small underwater section where you have to go and collect these bubbles to stay alive. Keep in mind, there's way more bubbles than you actually need. You can run past most of them to speed up your progress and stay alive. But then you're going to get to the boss fight. Now, this first one does have a unique mechanic. It's going to display a Hive Ruin in the very center of the arena, and this rune is going to be bigger than all the other runes that are displayed around the arena above these different platforms. You have to stand on the correct plate that matches the rune in the middle of the room, as you can see right here. While you're standing here, you then have the ability to lower the immune shields of the different Hive Rune Keepers around the map. Once you kill 4 of those Rune Keepers, the boss is going to spawn, and he has the same mechanic. You have to go to the correct plate with the right symbol, then shoot down the boss's shields. Now, once the boss's shields are down, you can leave the plate easily, go and do mega deeps, and hopefully take him down quickly. And once you do, you have a reward chest that you can spend a key on. We'll talk about that in a sec. Now, the other activity is called Deep Dives. This is a 3-player matchmade activity. You are not going to have the surges present. In fact, you'll only really have negative modifiers. So keep that in mind. It's likely going to be harder to do deep dives than it is to do the salvage activities. But as soon as you start a deep dive, you can pick up an Asha's gift, which is going to give you a benefit for this mission. Something like increased kinetic weapon damage or increased mini-boss damage or precision damage. It's up to you. Once you pick this up, you do have a traversal section. Again, you have to stay in the bubbles, but you can skip most of them, to be honest. And while on this section, as you can see right here, you may actually find resources. These were the old Titan planetary resources back before it was sunset, and picking these up will actually give you reputation for your seasonal rank. After that, you have to complete different objectives similar to salvage, turn on the different machines, kill enemies, stuff like that. Again, it's relatively simplistic and the game will tell you where to go. However, also during this section, as you can see, you can actually interact with this taken object and invoke darkness. You then have to go around the map and actually find these different taken areas where you can excise the blight. Do that enough times, and as you can see, we seem to get a bonus chest that may be related to doing this. This seems to be just an optional objective that you can do. Regardless, once you do complete these objectives, you are going to be teleported into another boss fight. This first initial boss is going to be a ginormous servitor. Just do damage, you're going to get teleported, you have to kill smaller servitors, which lowers his shields, and you can do more damage, rinse and repeat. And again, at the end, you get your chest. Now, there are actually 2 different seasonal keys for each of these 2 different activities. As you can see right here, you have salvage keys and you have deep dive keys. To acquire these keys, as you can see, when I got my salvage key, the tooltip comes up and says, to get these seasonal keys, you're mostly going to be completing other objectives. So while you're off doing strikes, crucible, gambit, whatever, any sort of like actual activity, upon that activity completion, you have a chance to get these keys. Now, I can confirm that my teammate actually got a salvage key from the end of a salvage activity. So you can technically stay in one activity and potentially just luck out and get keys for that activity as well. And these keys are just going to give you better rewards when you consume them on these end chests. However, completing these new seasonal activities is just one avenue of getting the new seasonal loot. The other way is going to be focusing, located in the new section of the helm. So, as you can see right here, the Sonar Station is going to be where you take your deep engrams that you get from pretty much everything throughout this season, completing activities, they're in your season's pass, etc., and then you can focus them into what you want. So when you open up the decoding section, first of all, you can just turn a deep engram into a random piece of gear. Now keep in mind, this can be a weapon or armor piece. You can directly focus armor. That's going to cost 1 deep engram for just getting a random piece of armor, and then 2 for specifically focusing a piece of armor. And then we have 2 different selections of weapons. So first of all, you have the deep weapons. So if you want a completely random, like taken deep weapon, that's going to cost 2 engrams, and then to target focus one of them, it's 4 engrams. And same costs for reckoning weapons, 2 for a random one and 4 for a focused one. So right now at the onset of the season, I would highly recommend, first of all, prioritizing weapons. You want to be unlocking those patterns, crafting them, leveling them up throughout the season. Not too concerned about armor. There's a lot of ways to get high stat armor in the game. And also, you want to start off broad before you start to target focus. Go the route that's way more efficient on your engrams, only costing 2, and get a random deep weapon, because let's be honest, you probably want more than 1 anyways. And then as you start to accumulate red borders, you're 3 or 4 out of 5 on certain weapons, then you can target focus to finish them off, right? Now keep in mind, if you do get a weapon that you want that's not a red border, don't instantly delete it anymore, because there is a new method in game of actually turning a weapon into a deep sight version of that weapon, right? So definitely take advantage of that. So, doing the new activities, focusing engrams, and fishing, which we'll talk about in a sec, are the main reward loops within this season. But, and this is a big, thick, juicy but, guys, there's actually ways you can improve this process significantly, and that is the new seasonal upgrades. You may have noticed at the Sonar Station, there's no seasonal upgrades, you just have focusing. That's because they've actually moved to a new place. As you can see right here, if you go into the Season 21 challenges, where you'd normally go to complete challenges and get like a weird doohickey that you'd use to purchase a seasonal upgrade, guaranteed red borders and stuff like that, you now have a section to the right that, as you can see, offers these seasonal bonuses for completing certain challenges, and they seem to not really be too time gated at all. So, if you want to unlock individual weapon focusing, as you can see right here, you just have to collect a certain amount of new seasonal weapons. A lot of them require you to get to a certain rank within your Sonar Station Reputation, and some of them are a bit time gated because they require you to fight different bosses, and of course those different bosses are likely coming in further weeks, but again, most of them you can actually pursue at an individual level. Whatever upgrade you want the most, you can go after that particular challenge. So that is really important, guys. Make sure to check this screen, and again, we're going to prioritize weaponry. So unlocking guaranteed deep sight weapons, like any upgrade that involves that, very important. Focusing weapons specifically, that's a high priority. And also upgrades that offer the chance to get just bonus loot in activities like salvage that you're going to be farming anyways are great. But moving on from there, let's talk fishing. So during this season's initial questline, you will get the object that you need for fishing. It will actually go in your inventory, and then you're gonna need bait. And as you can see, you get bait from doing pretty much everything. Activity completions are gonna give you a big bunch of bait, but also you can just go to planets and pick up the planetary resources. As you can see, I get this dust-like shard here and I get a single bait. And also you can actually do patrol missions to get a small amount of bait around too. So that does mean if you are really going hard for farming bait, it probably will be the most efficient if you get a fire team together, go to, a certain planet, and then just run through as many patrols and pick up all of the different planetary resources in that area. Remember, you can put on ghost mods that allow you to see planetary resources for a pretty wide area and just absolutely churn through that, and you're probably going to get a lot more during the time it would take to complete, for example, a strike, a salvage mission, etc. But if you can find an activity, perhaps like a lost sector, whatever actual activity completion is going to be the fastest for you, that may also be a good bait farm. But because it's the beginning of the season, I would recommend, you have so much other stuff to do. You're doing salvage, you're doing the deep exploration, all that stuff. You might as well just do that stuff and get bait in the background rather than spend your time focusing on only getting bait. Now, once you do have enough bait, you can go to the fishing areas on either the EDZ, Nessus, or the Throne World. However, importantly, one of these three locations, I think every single day, is going to be prioritized. It's going to offer better fish. As you can see right here, EDZ currently is offering an increase. So you head down to that particular location, then you cast your lure, and when you see it go underwater, you press the same button you used to cast your lure and you will reel in this fish. Now, there's actually quite a lot of different fish within the game. They all have very punny names, such as Cod Duello instead of the Code Duello rocket launcher, or Deafening Whisker as a catfish and stuff like that. Very clever, Bungie, but collecting these fish and collecting the different types of fish is mainly going to matter just for triumph purposes, as you can see right here. But there are actually tangible gameplay rewards tied to this, in the sense that once you do enough fishing, and there is actually a limit of the amount of fish you can hold, and you can see that by looking at the object within your inventory, and you're going to get better rarities of fish, so legendary and potentially even exotic fish, by going to the certain location that has that daily boost. And then once you've collected enough fish, you head back to the helm, and as you can see, you can deposit your fish and you gain reputation and also rewards. Now, I didn't get a reward here, but my teammate got a legendary drop. So the more fish you get, like if you get 500 fish or whatever and then deposit them all, you have a bunch of rare ones, you're likely going to be showered in loot. So try to take advantage of the focused fishing buff. As you can see right here, if you go to the certain area that has an increase in activity, and if you're around a lot of people, you can increase this and potentially get even more fish and better rarities of fish for better rewards. And so guys, there you have it. That is it for the main gameplay loop within Season of the Deep. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.